Well, hello everyone. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today I want to talk about to trust or not to trust. What we're going to be talking about is trusts. And we're going to look at what is a trust and what are the benefits and if you should have them, why. What is a trust? A trust is a legal type of ownership. As an example, most of us have heard about, rich people put their money in trust and leave it to their kids, and then they put conditions on how much the kids get and when they get it and so on and so forth. And that is true. That is a form of a trust, but there's other types of trusts. Today, I want to talk about, because the ones that apply to most of us today is not that kind of trust. Today I want to talk about the difference between a revocable and an irrevocable trust. Now, revocable means exactly what it says. After you set the trust up and you do whatever it is you want to do, you can revoke it. You can get rid of it, or you can change it. An irrevocable trust means once it's created, you cannot change that. That will last for the term of the trust. So if you set it up to pass wealth down to your kids and it lasts for 50 years, you can't change it for 50 years. It's irrevocable. But the one I want to concentrate on is a revocable trust. And let's talk about, first off, let's talk about why they were created. They were created as a law by lawyers as a way to pass wealth and to bypass taxes. And it is meant to be as a way for the wealthy to do it, but in order to get the law passed, they had to make it available to everybody. And it is available, and you don't have to be wealthy to use it. As you may or may not know, I used to sell insurance, and I sold mostly senior products, and whenever I would go to people that had any assets at all, I would always advise them to get a living revocable trust. And here's why. If, let's say you have a house and $1 million, and you put it into a living trust, you can still control the house, you can still control your $1 million, and you can own it until you die. And then whoever you determine to take care of or inherit, they take over the trust as a beneficiary. There's no inheritance tax, and it just goes to them, just like if you just gave it to them. And the reason that I would advise them to do that is because if anything happens, let's say you have to go to a nursing home, and typically a nursing home will take all of your money, everything you've got, and then when they're done taking all of your money, then they put you to the poor side, and they take the government help to take care of you. It's a lousy system. That's why I sold insurance, to protect people from that. But if your house and your $1 million is in a trust, they can't get there. Now they've made rules so that they can, and that's why I always advise to do this sooner rather than later, because in the state that I live in, is Illinois, there is a 5-year automatic clawback, which means the state of Illinois believes that if you put your stuff in trust less than 5 years before you had to go to the nursing home, you knew it was coming and you're trying to dodge the asset forfeiture. And that may or may not be true, but the state has given nursing homes the ability to go back 5 years into your finances. And if it's been longer than 5 years, even though they know you've got a house and $1 million in there, they can't touch it. Less than 5 years, they can pretend like it doesn't exist and they'll just loot it, which is absolutely wrong. And it's not just nursing homes, it's also hospitals, any place that you could potentially not show ownership because of it being in a trust. It's a very, very important and very powerful way to transfer wealth and assets and to protect them. You have legal protection while you're alive, so that once that, in this state, the 5-year threshold is met, they can't touch anything you've got that's in that trust. The key is to getting it set up. Now you can move things in and out of there all you want. That doesn't matter. What matters is how long that trust has been set up, and if it's been longer than 5 years, they can't touch it. Now, when you are married and something happens to you, all of your stuff goes to your spouse. What if you're single, divorced, widowed? Then it has to go through probate, which means the state takes it over. An attorney comes in. Well, actually, the attorney comes in for the estate, and he determines what needs to be done. And it's usually everything is liquidated, and everything is passed out to the surviving people after he gets paid and the taxes get paid, which means nothing gets passed on except a minuscule amount of your estate. If, however, it's in a living trust, it bypasses probate, which means your house and $1 million goes directly to your child. No taxes, no probate, no attorney costs, no taxes, nothing. It goes to them. They're the beneficiary, just like in a life insurance policy. There's no taxes on life insurance either. And that's one of the major benefits of a living trust or a revocable trust. A living trust is relatively inexpensive to set up. Relatively. You could spend as much as you want. I would imagine that you could set one up for $1,000 probably. And there are ways that you can set them up yourself. They've got those do-it-yourself, but when it comes to something that important, I'm not sure that I would trust that. I think I would just go to an attorney, pay the money, have it set up so that there's no busting that. If you set it up yourself, there's always a chance that you could miss something and they could bust the trust. In a irrevocable trust, you cannot move things in and out and around. In a revocable trust, you can. If you buy a house, you can put a house in there. If you sell a house, you can take the house out. If you have more money, you can put more money in, or you can take money out. It's just like if there was no trust and you were controlling your assets. It's exactly like that. So no matter how much you have, no matter how big your estate or how little your estate, you should at least have a living trust, a revocable trust. Put your assets in there in case anything happens to you, and pick who you want to be the beneficiary. If you've got 3 kids, set up 3 living trusts. That way you don't have to have a will. You just have the trust and it goes to the kids. Period. So I always recommend that, and you're never too young or too old to do this. The worst thing I think a person could have happen to them is to spend their life saving and accumulating to pass something on to their kids and then have the state take it because you have to go to a nursing home. I think that is absolutely heartbreaking. That should never happen, but that happens every day. So to protect yourself against that, talk to an attorney, set up a living trust, put your assets in there, and rest easy knowing that your things are safe and they will pass to your heirs tax-free and totally legally. Well, that's to trust or not to trust. My recommendation is always to trust. Put stuff in trust and trust that everything is going to be taken care of. Well, you guys have yourself a great week and happy and safe investing.